Merry Christmas, I guess, in advance, like what, about a month and change early or so. For me, Who This? I'm Who This. This is Who This been watching. I've been watching some shit, which this time around is the very first one of, I think last time I counted or cared to count that high because no one wants to remember, that has a brain, wants to remember past number two. We're talking about Home Alone 1 this time. From 1990, the first big hit, the thing that officially launched the career of Macaulay Culkin. Shout out to Macaulay Culkin, still around, still doing his thing, still making the rounds and doing his thing. Definitely not on the level of Home Alone, but he's still around. The weirdest appearance I've seen of Macaulay Culkin was when he popped up on the Angry Video Game Nerd randomly, and I'm talking about years ago at this point now, which was cool. But not to say he hit rock bottom, but like he's still iconic enough to remember because he didn't really, besides aging, obviously, as we all do, and it sucks, still looks about the same as he did as in this movie. Kevin McCallister. It's McCallister, right? I forget already. I just watched him, but I forgot already. That's proof I'm fucking old. This is Home Alone, though. Home Alone number one. I remember this when I was younger. Oddly enough, I wasn't allowed to see this because my mother was one of those who had to stick up her ass for as long as I can remember, probably for as long as I've been born, and really like protective and just say, oh, you can't see nothing. Meanwhile, by like the age of 5, I think I seen one of the Mad Max movies late at night when I was pretending to sleep, and my dad was still around, and he would insist on watching the naughty stuff at night with my mom. And one of the Mad Max was on, and it was a scene where titties were on the screen, barren in the desert, and there I am, kind of peeking at an awkward angle, just lifting my blanket enough so I can catch a glimpse, and there you go, titties. But enough about me and my youth. How about your youth? Maybe you're old enough, or you were young enough back when, to appreciate in full Home Alone 1 from 1990, starring Macaulay Culkin and some other folks like Catherine O'Hara, who... Chef's kiss to her, still holding up well, but back when, set off the alarms. We got a hot mama alert. Pretty lady. But yeah, back to Home Alone, right? So, Home Alone, the best way I could summarize it, if you haven't watched it by now, a kid gets left behind on, of all holidays, Christmas, by his family, by mistake, because there were so many family members gathered in one household, all in unison about to go to France for the holidays. The kid was included. Of course, it's not like they were going to leave Kevin, in this case Macaulay Culkin, all alone intentionally. It was by mistake, And then the mom is so, is like drowning in white guilt of having left her only, well, not in her mind, her only child she could think of at that moment behind at home. Meanwhile, she's got like 5 other ones, I forget, 4 or 5 other ones at home besides the kids they're like just buried in at the airport in France once they make it over there and shit. I mean, listen, you can't blame the husband for having more than one with Catherine O'Hara at that point, right? I mean, respectfully, of course, that's what I'm saying, but, for him to be the youngest one, I wouldn't be surprised they would have had another one after Kevin that would have been left at home alone and then kept the saga going after him. But basically, he gets left at home alone. Meanwhile, there's a couple of cat burglars, Joe Pesci, and I forget the other guy's name, but shout outs to him. Not intentionally forgetting, I just forgot his name in real life and the character. Lloyd? I think Lloyd, right. They're making the rounds in that town to see who's leaving for the holidays so they can break and enter. They want to dub themselves the Wet Bandits, their signature being that they leave the water running after they've robbed your house. So not only do they rob you of essential valuables like, back in 1990, electronics, jewelry, maybe like a VCR. TVs were way too big to steal back when. That would have thrown your whole back out doing that. So, like, VCRs, Walkmans. Were there any CD players like that, portable ones? Probably not, but they would have definitely taken the boom boxes, the stereos, the home CD system, and some other random little knickknacks and shit, right? But I think damaging enough would have been, imagine you get fucking robbed blind over the holidays. You got your credit card bills stacked up because you went shopping for people that you barely see once a year, if that. But you have to bring them a gift when you go see them at their fucking house. Then you come back to your own house, empty, barren. You've been robbed blind, and on top of that, your basement is full of fucking water, and then you gotta call the fucking plumber, get all that flooded out. The Wet Bandits are some real motherfuckers, goddammit. And they was doing it from house to house to house. But then it comes time for the McCallister house that they want to rob so bad because they figured out finally at some point it's a kid that's literally home alone. And while the mom's having a midlife crisis about having left her one kid behind at home, and these guys are trying to figure out shit, this kid has to figure out how to be brave and smart enough to fend off the bandits, the burglars. They're trying to break into his home after thinking he might have magically wished his whole family away because they were some motherfuckers. Well, the family wasn't so bad. It was just so many people in one house at one time prepping for, I'm sure would be a headache enough and a half of having to prep a whole big-ass family vacation. The McCallisters got money like that, obviously, because take a look at the house. It's big, it's beautiful, it's spacious, luxurious. You're left to wonder what the fuck mom and or dad do for a living, let alone enough to have all them kids and have, at that time, keep in mind, 1990, $120 just standing by to pay for pizza to get delivered before they make the trip out the following day to the airport to get to France. Now, I don't have an inflation calculator in front of me right now, but 124 some odd dollars for pizza. And it was a lot of pizza. It was like, 10 pies or something like that? What today would be like, $300? And that's bad. Listen, I love an authentic slice or a pie like anybody else does. I'm sure you can appreciate that too. But for the longest time, a whole pie would really run you fucking something pretty pricey. I think I checked now, and I've seen pies that are like basic plain cheese shit. They're like $25. Oh, and they think it's a deal if they fucking give you a 2-liter bottle of Coke, which I could still get for like $3 at the grocery store, at Target, at wherever the fuck else you go to shop for shit like that. It's just crazy the way things got out of hand. But the audacity to be charging because they're not a big chain like Domino's or my personal favorite, and shout out to Pizza Hut. I'm a hoe like that. I'm a cheap ass hoe like that, if you want to call me that. I settle for a Pizza Hut pie or a whole pie of Pizza Hut pizza. I got no problem with it. I like Pizza Hut. I genuinely like it. Guess what? I like the pizza, especially the tavern style thin crust shit. That's my favorite. I'm a pepperoni hoe. I'm very basic like that. So you give me pepperoni on a fucking pizza, I'm good. I like the melts, the little calzone shits that's shaped like triangles that they fold in together. I like their wings. I live in Buffalo, so I should know better than to fucking go for pizza for wings. But God forbid I like that. That's me at a very basic level. I like everything they make. Even the fucking breadsticks is fucking amazing. The pizza. So shout out to Pizza Hut. I'm working towards that Pizza Hut, ad read eventually. Hopefully I can get that. Please, by the grace of God, please bless me on the Christmas. Next year, Christmas, that's the goal. A Pizza Hut ad spot here on Who's Been Watching. But I digress. Okay, enough pizza talk, right? But funny enough, one of the pizzas was supposed to be all cheese for Kevin because that's his favorite kind of pizza. And I'm sure a lot of people like, plain cheese pizza. Shout out to them. I don't understand that. I need a topping on my fucking slice or pie. I can't do it bare naked like that. But one of the other kids happens to end up eating his cheese pizza. His older brother makes fun of him for being a dork and liking cheese pizza. He attacks his brother at the dinner table for offering his cheese pizza to some other kid, not Kevin. He gets scolded. He gets sent up to the fucking attic. He gets stuck there to sleep there for the night while everybody worries about how they're going to get to the airport in time the following morning. But then again, the McAllisters got money, so they got like a whole airport wake me up, pick me up service that's going to take him from home to the airport directly, except the power goes out in the middle of the night. So their alarm, again, 1990, their alarm clocks don't work, so they don't wake up in time, but they do wake up conveniently enough with, a couple of folks in vans outside the house. Might be scary enough, but they're airport workers, so they're there to pick them up. They still get there in time, just enough time to make their flights. But then wouldn't you fucking know it, mom forgets the one kid she sent directly up to the attic. My might as well have been an addict, the way she had that kind of logic the night before the big trip. The one kid she sent up to the attic, I can pronounce it, I swear to God. Kevin is stuck there overnight while he made a wish that his whole family would disappear because they were all being jerks. They didn't let him have cheese pizza. They were ignoring him the whole time. Meanwhile, Joe Pesci, was there pretending to be a cop while in the middle of the family chaos at the home. Pretending to be a cop, making the rounds, being like, oh, we're just making sure your alarms work, you lock the doors, who's really just to scope out who's leaving for the holidays so they have a free house to break into like that. The first red flag of a cop being in your home randomly like that, despite you having 20, 30 people that are your family running around like that, would be a cop with a gold tooth. And shout outs to the boys in blue, the girls in blue, they, them, it in blue. I'm not going to say I'm like fully blindly in support of them, but, I know they work hard and they got to go through their own shit like that, especially the holidays, I'm sure. But my first red flag is seeing a cop at home would be to see a cop with a gold tooth, as he has prominently on display. It's either gold tooth or tattoos up to the wrist, and then with the sleeves purposely folded up so we can see the tattoos and know, oh yeah, this cop is chill. This cop's a thug, a gangster. I can definitely get along with them. I could talk to them like a bro and shit. It's enough already. Just get to work, dress properly, come on, fold your sleeves all the way down. If it's the summertime, you got short sleeves, okay, great. They're on display. You get to show them off. No disrespect to the tattoo community. I got a couple on me too. It's just like, the ones I'm talking about. The ones that got like, even in the winter, they got the sleeves rolled up to show up their whole fucking like forearm or sleeve of work. Besides that, right, so first red flag would have been a cop with a gold tooth. That's like, especially in 1990, there's no way anybody with a gold tooth is wearing a badge as well, too. The point I want to stress, too, is that this movie is low-key funny and that we easily forget, at least I did for the longest time, that a lot of the gags this movie is known for as far as the physical comedy involved with like getting hit with this and that and whatever, doesn't come until like almost 30 minutes left in the film. And even then, it's like maybe 20 minutes in total. It's a lot of gags, it's a lot of pranks, a lot of physical humor, and I'm sure a lot of work for the stunt doubles during the making of that movie. And you forget it's just barely a fraction. Not even like a fourth of the movie is dedicated to that shit, because the whole build-up with like the little situations, the jokes, the humor throughout, it's there. And it's also a touching film throughout too. So while the family's all busy, especially mom is busy, gathering up the troops, getting them all to the airport to make the flight in time, and they do, and mom and dad are in first class, it's only after Kevin realizes and wakes up the following morning to see that the cars are in the garage, there's no way they fucking went. Oh shit, my wish came true, they're fucking gone and out of my life. I'm the man in the house, I'm literally home alone. As the movie would imply, obviously. He's at home, he's watching a black and white mobster movie. I'm sure you remember the dialogue if you've seen this movie plenty of times enough. I barely kind of sort of remember. But he's scared by it, seeing murder on the fucking screen and shit. As a kid would at his age, he screams out, Mom. And it's almost like telepathically, it channels his actual legit in real life mother. The same one that forgot his ass at home because she told him to go to the fucking attic and stay there until he can think of a fucking way to be a little gentleman and shit. And she realizes only then telepathically, I forgot something. Oh my God, the one of my fucking many kids, Kevin, in mid-fucking air, the mid-fucking flight. Only then she realizes this shit. She's not winning the Mother of the Year award. Let's make that clear. And while it can happen, especially if you got more than one kid or more than 4 or 5 kids that she's got on her own, on top of all the kids that were there in the house with the rest of the family visiting, I could see it happening. There's no excuse for it, but I can see it happen, especially if you want to gather up all that family all at once to travel all together. There really is no excuse, but I could understand that happening. Justifiably so. Thank God I'm an only kid, and I barely got any family outside of my extended via my fiance, her mother, and her sister, and her husband, and I'm supposed to be the husband, I mean to say, but you know what I mean. My sister-in-law to be's husband, who's gonna be eventually my brother-in-law at some point in time, and their kids, so my niece and nephew, TDB, until we finally, tie the knot, obviously. Because then I could basically never lose anybody unless I lose like my keys or something, which I would consider more important to me, because that's personal property that I own that leads to the personal property I pay rent for at least. And God forbid someone takes my Switch too, I'll be fucking Steve, basically. But that's my dilemma. And only after she realizes she left the kid behind does she start to panic, and she wants to do everything, move heaven and hell and earth if possible, just to get back to her kid. So she's willing to stay in the airport to immediately book a flight back to get the Kevin to pick his ass up and fly his ass out with the rest of the family to Paris, which I would only think on the day of Christmas in the airport. And in 1990, probably a lot cheaper than nowadays, but still considering, inflation and shit, probably wasn't cheap at all to do so. But she's willing to do it, so at least she's trying to make up for it by forgetting her kid, by trying to get back to him in time and drag his ass to fucking France, which he's like 7 years old. How is he going to appreciate France at all, right? I mean, maybe he'll eventually learn to appreciate croissants and baguettes. Or maybe he's at the age where he might like girls, too. 7? Is that too early? Who knows? Or, of course, nowadays standards, you gotta let the kid choose what they're into. You can't be like a boy has to like girls anymore. But you know what I mean, basically. So while he's left at home alone, he accidentally becomes a little shoplifter, a white, young, accidental shoplifter, which I'm sure has happened plenty of times and the cops will forgive and forget. But at least in this case, he goes to a store. He's trying to buy a toothbrush for himself, which I'm sure a house of 5 with a mom on top of everything like she was, there would be toothbrushes for everybody or regularly rotating toothbrushes out and in like that. He has to buy his own toothbrush. At the store, he runs into this old man who happens to be his neighbor, but everybody's like scared of him. They start rumors about him like he's a creep and he fucking talks to nobody. Runs into him. The old man says nothing to him, just stares him down. And he gets scared and runs out the store. So he accidentally becomes a shoplifter by taking that toothbrush. He forgot to put it back. He could have just ran out the store, dropped the toothbrush, and that would have been it. There's another kid that has a chase after him. That kid like really dramatizes the whole stealing of a toothbrush from a little fucking mom and pop store and says to a cop standing on the corner, "Hey, shoplifter." And the cop has a brief moment of suspense, kind of like, wait a minute. Shoplifter is a predominantly white neighborhood. That kid is blonde hair, blue eyed. I can gather that from like as far away as he is, and he's a child. And I can't figure out what he fucking stole because I can't see on him. Oh, fuck it. I might as well just clock my hours. I'm on the clock anyway. Chases after him, but doesn't catch him anyway. So he's got to go home with an extra toothbrush that he stole. Now I'm a criminal, he says out loud. So, little gags like that, little jokes like that. That's fucking funny like that. Goes back home. He happens to find his older brother's stash of hidden cash, so he could finally order himself his own cheese pizza. So at least he got that off the list of priorities. Meanwhile, the thieves, was it Harry and Lloyd? Why am I thinking of Dumb and Dumber? Okay, Joe Pesci and I think Lloyd, the other guy's name was, right? They do what every bad guy does, villain does, and they have to speak out loud the plans they got in mind for what they're going to carry out. So they say, we're going to be back at this house at 9 p.m. sharp to fucking break and enter and loot everything. Of course, Kevin overhears. So he runs over to fucking, not a mall Santa, like a Santa, like around. And he says, okay, I know you're not really Santa, but I know you know the real Santa because, of course, he's a kid. So can you tell him a message? Can you tell him, please bring my family back? I missed them. I'm sorry. I wished them away. I didn't mean to fucking do that. Meanwhile, mom's at the airport. She meets up with John Candy, who also had his flight canceled. Well, no, she didn't have a flight canceled. She just fucked up and left the kid behind. Excuse me. He had his flight canceled, but they're offering him at least a fucking truck to transport his band of poker misfits, like poker players, whatever the fuck they are, whatever the name was. It was clever, but John Candy, of course, shouts to him. He was funny in that shit. And offers her a ride back to Chicago since they're on the way to, I forget where they were going to. Not Illinois, because Chicago is Illinois, but Missouri? I forget where the fuck they were going. But they offer her a ride, of course. But then again, Catherine O'Hara, very pretty lady. Stunning in this fucking movie throughout, like flawless hair, just beautiful face. Why wouldn't you offer a pretty lady alone at the airport on Christmas any sort of help you can offer, of course. So can't blame him at all. Kevin ends up going to church before 9 o'clock hits so he can be back home in time for the robbers. And while he's at church admiring and enjoying the sounds of the choir of kids singing, he bumps into his creepy old neighbor again, who turns out to be just misunderstood. He's a lonely old man. He seems and looks cranky. Maybe I can relate, unfortunately. He turns out to be, again, just misunderstood. He comes up to Kevin. He says Merry Christmas to him with a smile on his face. He asks him, can he sit down next to him? At church, of course, you can't deny people like that. Even if they stink or they're homeless, whatever, you got to let them sit down next to you. He does. They start talking. And it turns out that the guy's there to see his granddaughter, who's a part of the choir. But he can't be seen watching his granddaughter because he had a falling out with his own son. They fought, and they said, I don't want to see you, jerk off. Okay, I don't want to see you, dickhead, and just totally should have go fuck themselves, conveniently enough, in time for Christmas. So he's sad about that. So Kevin explains, like, well, you're a little too old to be scared, just like I was scared of the basement for the longest time, but I confronted my fears eventually. So, again, you're a little too old to be scared of calling your son and just trying to, squash the beef and just let it be and just make out to each other and just, at least see your granddaughter without having to, like, sneak into a church to see her sing at the choir, which I'm sure you'd like to hear your little fucking granddaughter sing for you at home on Christmas Eve, you dumbass. Go and fucking do that shit. The clock strikes 9. Kevin's back at home. He's got the most questionable fucking dinner possible for a kid, but it's probably, I'm guessing, painfully white. Mac and cheese and a big old glass of milk. This is 1990s. He's a white kid, so I would think the bubble gut wet farts alone from that concoction that he had for dinner, or he was supposed to have dinner. He didn't even get to get a bite because the clock struck 9 in time. Those bubble gut farts would have been enough to scare off the fucking robbers or any bandits or even the cops that came by. But, of course, now it's basically trying to lock in and die if you're the fucking robbers, if you're Joe Pesci and the other guy. Again, all the gags this movie's known for happens at about 30 minutes left before the movie's over. And I would think the way it plays out, as I'll go through each one, that was definitely somebody's BDSM fucking torture fantasies come to life with the opportunity granted to them to, like, sketch it out and put it in a movie, in a, I guess, supposed to be kid family Christmas movie. Why not have a little bit of fun at their expense, right? It's brutal. Because first, it goes like this. First, he shoots one of them in the nuts with a BB gun. Then in the face for the other one. He plants some oil on the stairs. The other one that ain't Joe Pesci, he slips on it first. And no, was it Joe Pesci? I forget which one. But one of them falls back first on the steps. I got sciatica, so I'm fucking done after that shit. And I'm probably in the ER afterwards with a fucking deductible to look forward to for the fucking holidays of all things. Then there's a light switch that one of them fucking pulls down and it yoinks a fucking clothing iron to the face. A burning hot doorknob. A nail purposely propped up on a step that goes clean through the foot. A door triggered to open, and once it does, it blasts a fucking a blowtorch at Joe Pesci's head. Feathers to the face, which is okay. That didn't make sense. That's more annoying than it would be, like, life-threatening. Marv finally makes it into the house, barefoot, just to step on some Christmas ball ornaments and crush them with his bare feet. Micro machines scattered on the floor, so they both slip and fall back first. 2 paint cans to the face for each one of them. With the paint can, Joe Pesci had his gold tooth knocked out, which gets him so tight, and I understand completely. If you had the gold tooth knocked out of your mouth, he says he's basically going to twist his nuts off and boil him because, he wants to kill the kid at this point now. Fuck the house, fuck robbing anything worthwhile. He just wants to torture the kid. Kevin takes his brother's tarantula, puts it on Marv's face. He shakes it off and ends up on Joe Pesci. He takes a crowbar and starts beating Joe Pesci because he thinks he's going to kill the snake that way. Meanwhile, Kevin called the cops so he can start coming before he zip lines his way to his treehouse. They get the bright idea to dangle off the zip line instead of walking to the treehouse and try to make their way over that way, just so Kevin can conveniently enough cut that shit and let them drop to the fucking ice cold snow already on the ground in Chicago. So I'm sure shouts to Chicago, but I'm sure a brick ass winter like that falling on your back ain't no fun for anybody. Conveniently enough, he gets to run over to the old man's house, again, his neighbor. The basement's flooded because they already robbed his house. But They figure that out, so they meet him while he's at the top of the stairs from the basement, catch him, put him on a hook behind the door, and they're talking out loud about how much they're going to torture Kevin. But the old man conveniently is behind them with a fucking snow shovel and fucking just whacks them both in the face, knocks them both out. The cops arrive. They're done. The Wet Bandits are done. Pause. The Wet Bandits are done. Dunzo. In jail for Christmas, conveniently enough. The family comes back. They're glad to see him, of course. And Kevin looks out the window. It's snowing. It's Christmas. And the old man neighbor made up with his son enough so he can see both of them, his son and his granddaughter, on Christmas. So it's a very touching movie, very cute movie throughout, very funny movie throughout too, surprisingly. I always forget how funny this thing is. Because I always think in my mind, oh, Home Alone, it's just like an hour and something of fucking two grown men being tortured by a young child, conveniently enough, right? But if I had to give this movie a score, conveniently enough, out of a 69, the best number, I'm going to go ahead and give Home Alone 1 from 1990 starring Macaulay Culkin and Joe Pesci and the other guy, which, no disrespect, I just can't remember his name right now in the movie or real life. I'm going to give Home Alone 1 a 50 out of a 69. It's already been a Christmas classic. I'm just reaffirming that, if anything, based off my most recent viewing of it, which I really enjoyed, and I hope to make that a holiday tradition with my kids. Why not? Show them Home Alone when they're like 5, just so they don't get no like torture fantasy ideas at a young age and start like planting, I don't know, paint cans to dangle randomly from the top of the stairs. So when I go up there, I get thwacked in the face each time. And I end up having to beat my kids like it was the 90s. Oh, just to discipline them. I swear to God. I swear to God. But that's it for me today and tonight. For this episode of Who This Been Watching, I'm Who This. This has been the Home Alone 1 review. At Who This Is One to catch me on the socials, YouTube, Twitch, all that good shit. I appreciate you for tuning in and catch you on the next one. Whatever holiday applies to you, please insert the happy before it, but then please insert the name of the holiday and then applicable to you and yours. Appreciate y'all. Catch you on the next one.
I saw this coming, and my God, I jumped on it with both hands and been holding on. My ass! My ass!
When I think of asses, woman's ass, something comes out of me.
I don't eat ice, I kick ice. You stupid ice.
Why don't you shut up, you ass?
You cannot give up yet. You did not let me or my fat ass down, okay?
Yo, it's over. All right, it's over. It's over. Move the mic. Move the mic.
Thank you.
All right.